Good morning, you are watching A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanova, and let's see the top stories. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky vows Russia will face consequences after deadly attacks on Kiev. The pro-European party of Moldovan President Maia Sandu is heading for victory and a new majority in parliament in the elections. And at least 4 people dead and 8 wounded in a shooting and fire at a Michigan church in the U.S., police say. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that Russia would answer for all of its doing following the Russian attack earlier. Moscow launched hundreds of drones and missiles at Kiev and other parts of Ukraine in one of the most sustained attacks on the capital since the full-scale war began. The Ukrainian leader said he expected the United States to nudge Russia towards a change of their position and stop the war.
На тижні очікуємо рішень Європи щодо такого тиску.
We expect this week decisions from Europe concerning such pressure. At the least, a new sanctions package has to be launched, the 19th package. It is especially important that the sanctions hit hard on Russian energy commodities trade, on all infrastructure of the Russian tanker fleet. Moreover, there is now information from intelligence that the Russians are precisely using tankers to launch and operate drones which are launched against European countries. This is just another reason why the Baltic Sea and other seas must be closed for Russian tankers, at least for the Shadow Fleet. We also expect strong moves from the United States of America. We spoke with President Trump about what can really nudge Russia towards a change of their position and stop the war. The world has means which could work to bring peace about.
Kiev has come under one of the heaviest Russian drone and missile barrage since the full-scale attack began. According to Ukrainian authorities, early on Sunday, at least 4 people, including a 12-year-old girl, have been killed and 40 others wounded.
The overnight assault brought devastation across the Ukrainian capital. Air raid sirens sounded for hours as waves of drones and missiles struck residential neighborhoods. Kiev's military administration said more than 15 sites were hit, including multi-story apartment blocks and even a state cardiological hospital. Fires tore through courtyards and thick smoke rose from several districts. Residents fled deep underground into metro stations and are now familiar refuge against Russia's bombardment. Anti-aircraft fire echoed across the city as defenses tried to repel the barrage. Officials described the strike as one of the largest on Kiev in more than 3 years of full-scale war. Independent monitors and local media reported it was among the heaviest barrages they had ever recorded. Across Ukraine, the scale of the assault was felt far beyond the capital. In Zaporizhzhia, at least 4 people were injured when missiles and drones hit civilian infrastructure. Ukraine's foreign ministry accused Moscow of firing hundreds of drones and missiles overnight, destroying homes and killing civilians. Officials in Kyiv vowed there would be a response and once again appealed to Western allies for tougher economic pressure on Russia. Neighboring Poland briefly closed its airspace near 2 southeastern cities and scrambled fighter jets, placing air defense systems on high alert. Authorities in Warsaw called the measures preventive, aimed at securing citizens and NATO's eastern flank.
The United States is considering Ukraine's request to obtain long-range Tomahawk missiles for its effort to push back against the Russian invaders, Vice President J.D. Vance said on Sunday. Vance said U.S. President Donald Trump would make the final determination on whether to allow the deal. We are certainly looking at a number of requests from the Europeans, he added. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has asked the United States to sell Tomahawks to European nations that would send them to Ukraine. Moldova holds its breath as parliamentary elections continue. President Maia Sandu's pro-European party is leading, but concerns grow over Russian-linked attempts to influence the vote.
Moldova decides its next path in parliamentary elections after 4 years. Central Electoral Commission reported that more than 1.59 million, about 51.9% of eligible voters had cast their ballots. The stakes are immense for this small nation, of 2.6 million people. The country is choosing between pro-EU and pro-Russia parties. The result of parliamentary election will determine the country's path.
We want Moldova to live like they do in Europe. That's what I want. And I wish a prosperous and peaceful future for our children and grandchildren.
I believe we can handle everything ourselves. I wouldn't rule out a little help at the initial stage, but I'm confident we can develop ourselves with our resources and our people.
The main race is between President Maia Sandu's pro-European Party of Action and Solidarity and the pro-Russian Patriotic Bloc. With 99% of votes counted, Sandu's party leads with 49%, while the Patriotic Bloc follows with 24%, according to the country's Electoral Commission. Counting is still underway. Meanwhile, concerns persist over attempts by Russian-linked actors to influence the outcome and destabilise the country.
We saw attempts to interfere in the electoral process by criminal groups supported by the Russian Federation, attempts to destabilise the situation, bomb alarms and other provocations that we saw on the territory of the Republic of Moldova, as well as abroad.
The country's Information Technology and Cybersecurity Service also said that cyber attacks targeted electoral infrastructure and government cloud services, but were swiftly dealt with. Police detained 3 people suspected of being from the security services in Moldova's pro-Russian breakaway region of Transnistria, who were allegedly planning to cause mass destabilizations and disorder after the election.
Over in the United States, a shooting at a church in Michigan has left at least 4 people dead. Authorities say the suspect who was shot dead by officers is a former U.S. Marine.
At least 4 people have been killed and 8 others wounded in a shooting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Michigan on Sunday. Authorities say the gunman was later killed in a gunfire exchange with police after setting the place ablaze.
During this incident, what we know right now is that a 40-year-old suspect from Burton, he's a male, he drove his vehicle through the front doors of the church. He then exited his vehicle, firing several rounds at individuals within the church. 10 gunshot victims have been transported to local hospitals at this time, including one who has been deceased. Officers who were trained immediately responded to the area.
Investigators have identified the man as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a former U.S. Marine. He is believed to have acted alone. Authorities say up to 7 people are unaccounted for following a search inside the church. Residents have expressed fear and concern for their safety.
I know there had been some church shootings like recently in the news, but like the fact that my hands are shaking, like it's 10 minutes down the road from where I live, my home. That's insane. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
The incident has sparked debates on social media as people try to determine whether the suspect is a Democrat or a Republican. US President Donald Trump said in a social media post that the FBI will lead the federal investigation, calling the incident an attack on Christians. US Attorney General Pam Bondi also posted on social media, describing the event as heartbreaking and chilling. The shooting comes after another recent attack in North Carolina that left 3 people dead when a gunman opened fire from a boat at a crowded waterfront bar. The Michigan rampage marks the 324th mass shooting in the United States in 2025, according to the Gun Violence Archive.
The Israeli army has intensified its ground and air operations in Gaza, pushing tanks deeper into Gaza City's residential districts and striking dozens of targets over the past 24 hours. Local health authorities warn that emergency responders have been unable to reach many residents trapped in the affected areas. On Sunday, Israeli mobile artillery units were seen firing towards Gaza from positions along the border. At the same time, tanks advanced further into densely populated neighborhoods of Gaza City, raising concerns over the safety of civilians caught in the fighting. According to local health officials, dozens of calls for help have gone unanswered as medical teams struggle to access areas under heavy bombardment. The Israeli military confirmed its air force carried out 140 strikes in the past day, targeting what it described as militants and military infrastructure. But on the ground, the human toll continues to mount. At least 5 people were killed in an airstrike on Gaza's Al Nasser area, while medics reported 16 more deaths in attacks on houses in central Gaza. That brings Sunday's death toll to at least 21. Police in India registered a criminal case against the leaders of Tamil actor Vijay's political party after a stampede at his rally killed 39 people, a senior police official said on Sunday. The dead included children, and more than 50 people were injured in Saturday's stampede in the southern state of Tamil Nadu, where Vijay was campaigning for his Tamilaga Vetri Kazhagam party ahead of state elections early next year. Police said cases were registered against party leaders and an investigation is underway. Vijay, one of Tamil cinema's biggest stars, said he was heartbroken by the tragedy and promised support for the victims' families. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin announced compensation of about $11,300 per family, while the state set up a judicial commission to investigate the cause. Prime Minister Narendra Modi described the incident as deeply saddening in a message on social media. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket successfully lifted off from California's Vandenberg Space Force Base, carrying a new batch of Starlink satellites into orbit. The rocket's payload included 28 Starlink satellites, which are set to deploy into low Earth orbit. They will join the growing Starlink constellation designed to deliver high-speed, low-latency internet access to users around the world. The latest launch marks another step forward in SpaceX's mission to expand global broadband coverage. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan met UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in New York. They stressed that the peace agreement signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan on 8th of August could help bring stability to the South Caucasus. Pashinyan and Guterres also discussed cooperation on the 17th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention of Biological Diversity, which is due to take place in Armenia in October 2026. The meeting also touched upon other issues of mutual interest. Turkey has accelerated its shift towards automation with sales of more than 3,500 industrial robots last year, placing the country among the world's top 50 markets. Analysts say this surge is helping Turkish industry sharpen its global competitiveness, particularly in automotive, defense and electronics.
The latest data show Turkey is now the 14th largest market worldwide for industrial robots, surpassing the global growth rate. The push has been driven by rising labor costs, faster investment returns, and the demand for higher productivity. Robots are increasingly handling repetitive tasks that younger workers no longer choose to do, while manufacturers adopt automation to meet export standards.
We see automation rising at a rate even higher than the global average. Robots are now deployed across a wide range of industries, from automotive to household appliances, food and healthcare.
The shift is also tied to the concept of the dark factory facilities that operate with minimal or no human intervention. This is expected to expand further with the integration of artificial intelligence into manufacturing processes.
According to the 2025 report, over 542,000 robots were sold worldwide in 2024. That's more than double the figure just a decade earlier. In Turkey alone, 3,551 robots were installed last year, making us the 14th biggest market.
Executives underline that if Turkish factories want to remain competitive with China, Germany, the US, South Korea and Japan, they must embrace robotics.
Turkey has successfully test-fired its indigenously developed Cyper 1D long-range air defense missile from a naval vertical launch system. The achievement places the country among a select group of nations capable of deploying long-range air defense systems from their own warships. The test coincided with the anniversary of the Turkish naval forces.
Turkey has successfully test-fired its indigenously developed Cyper 1D long-range air defense missile from a naval vertical launch system, placing it among the few nations with homegrown ship-based air defense capability. The Cyper 1D missile, with a range of over 100 kilometers, was launched from the National Vertical Launch System, known as MIDLAS. Officials describe the trial as a milestone for Turkey's naval defense capabilities under its Blue Homeland maritime doctrine. Developed jointly by Roketsan and Aselsan, MIDLAS allows 360-degree coverage for firing different types of guided missiles from naval vessels. After completing development, the system was integrated into TCG Istanbul, Turkey's first nationally built frigate. It had earlier been tested with the medium-altitude HISAR-DRF missile. The first land-based test of MIDLAS took place in December 2022. Successfully launching a HISAR-RF air defense missile. The Cyper system was designed to meet modern air defense needs, ranging from planning and coordination to providing a unified air picture. Roketsan underlined that this success reflects its commitment to enhancing the capabilities of the Turkish armed forces and to further strengthening the country's defense power.
Syria's historic citadel of Aleppo has reopened to visitors, marking a significant step in the country's recovery from years of conflict. Restoration efforts have repaired extensive damage, allowing crowds to return and celebrate this iconic UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Syria's historic citadel of Aleppo reopened to visitors on Saturday, marking a symbolic moment of recovery for a country heavily affected by conflict. Drone footage captured sweeping views of the ancient fortress, with crowds gathering atop the hill in the centre of Aleppo to celebrate the reopening.
We reopened the Aleppo citadel after a long period of closure and neglect. The citadel, like the people of Aleppo, has suffered extensive damage during the war and the revolution, yet it remains steadfast, standing tall like the citizens of Aleppo. The maintenance process included the entire infrastructure, from main water lines to electricity lines, in addition to other essential works. Restoration work, which lasted several months, included repairs to water and electricity lines, as well as stabilization of damaged columns and walls.
The citadel, listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was severely damaged during long-running battles between the former Syrian government and opposition forces and was first reopened in 2018. In 2023, it suffered further damage from an earthquake that ravaged southern Turkey and northern Syria. The citadel was closed again in December last year when opposition forces began an offensive that toppled Syria's then leader, Bashar al-Assad.
Baku Climate Action Week kicks off today in Azerbaijan. Our very own Nadia Jani has more from the event.
Following the first successful Baku Climate Action Week in 2024, it's back for another year and it's guaranteed to be better and bigger than ever. This week will be about innovation, practical climate solutions, roundtable discussions and so much more. Climate Action Week serves as a bridge between annual COP negotiations, which allows countries to share experiences and strengthen climate diplomacy. Government officials, stakeholders, private sector leaders and academic professionals will all be present at the event, formulating ideas and strategies to achieve key climate goals. Later, I'll be speaking to top climate leaders and bring you the latest updates in the midst of it all right here in Baku. I'm Nadia Jani for A News.
Global innovators and tech pioneers are converging in Baku this week to explore the next big breakthroughs in technology and business. From hands-on workshops to expert panels, the summit is setting the stage for the future of regional innovation. Our Gülşin Kocalieva has more from the event.
Baku is hosting one of the region's biggest innovation gatherings this week as the InMerge Summit 2025 brings together entrepreneurs, investors and technology leaders from across the world. Opening remarks by Mikhail Jabbarov, Azerbaijan's Minister of Economy, and Rashad Nabiev, Minister of Digital Development and Transport, set the stage for 2 days of discussions on emerging technologies and new business opportunities. As in previous editions, the summit features global tech leaders and industry experts, among them Pixar co-founder Ed Catmull, Netflix co-founder Mark Randolph, and former OpenAI executive Zach Kass, sharing their insights on innovation and leadership. We'll also be bringing you exclusive interviews with key leaders from Visa and TikTok as attendees connect, collaborate, and exchange ideas that could drive growth across the region. We'll keep you updated throughout the summit. I'm Gulcin Khojalieva with Ilkin Mehdiyev for A News.
The city of Ganja in Azerbaijan is currently hosting the third Games of the Commonwealth of Independent States, bringing together more than 1,600 athletes from 13 countries. Spanning 23 sports disciplines, the multi-sport event will continue until the 8th of October. President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev and First Lady Mehriban Aliyeva opened the event. The CIS Games aim to strengthen sporting ties among member states, while offering a platform for young athletes to showcase their talents on an international stage. Now we turn to another sports news. Joining us live from Doha is our sports correspondent Nick Summerby with the latest updates from the weekend of action. Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Nick, let's start with golf. It has been a big Ryder Cup weekend. What were the standout moments and results?
Yeah, Bethpage Park is where it was in New York. If you're a golf fan, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Is where Europe play against USA, and it was comfortable for Europe going in Saturday night. The Americans were 7 behind, and then they came out. The Europeans won the first 4 rounds, only needing 2.5 to seal a victory to make it back-to-back victories. But then the Americans came. There's something about this tournament. It brings crowds together. Sometimes a little bit too much. Rory McIlroy really had a lot of stick from the fans when he was trying to play his shots, which he didn't like. So it brings like a football fan type of thing, if I can say that. The Americans really getting behind their team, and all of a sudden it ended up being difficult for Europe. Europe got the job done. It was all down to Shane Lowry. He needed that half point just to get the putt, and then Tyrone Hatton to seal the victory. They will be celebrating for the next couple of weeks now. There's scenes after with the European fans, and it really brings these top quality golf players together. I mean, this is the first time that the Europeans have won since 2012 in America. We heard from Keegan Bradley, who was in charge of the Americans, and he said we were just beat by the better team. We rallied, we tried everything on the last day, but we just couldn't get over the line. But it's all about Luke McDonald. They're now talking about him as the greatest captain of all. He's just won back-to-back. So, as usual, the Ryder Cup never lets us down. In a couple of years, we go to Scotland as well. But wow, what a weekend of golf it was.
So, turning to football, what's the latest from the Premier League?
Well, first of all, Graham Potter. It's quite bizarre because he did a press conference, the West Ham United manager, on the Friday. They don't play until tonight. They play Everton, but he got fired. So he is no longer in a job. Nuno Santo took over. We thought it was strange because why would you let him do a press conference for a game? Well, he's not going to be there. But either way, that was the big news. But then all of a sudden the game started. Crystal Palace beat Liverpool. Liverpool have been fantastic. We thought no one's going to stop them. And Liverpool, what they usually do to teams is beat them in the last couple of dying seconds or minutes of the game. This is what Crystal Palace did. And Nketiah getting the goal to make it 2-1. Then all of a sudden, it was about Arsenal. Arsenal, are you really up for the title race? You've spent money. You've got the perfect squad. So can you go and do it this year? They went 1-0 down at St James's Park against Newcastle and ended up bringing it to 1-1. The dying few seconds, Gabriel makes it 2-1. It's now 2 points now. All of a sudden, they're right behind Liverpool and we have a title race on our hands there. Also, Aston Villa get their first victory. Spurs 1-1 with Wolves. Wolves still looking for their victory. Sunderland, my old team, win again. At one point, they were 3rd in the table. Now they're 5th. So wonderful by them as well. And the teams which have come up are really putting a fight. Another point as well for Leeds United at home to Bournemouth. Manchester City, Haaland 2 goals, beating Burnley 5-1. And then Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, I don't like to say it, and I don't ever like to be nasty about a manager, but your time is really coming to an end. He sticks with his formation, and it simply is just not working. They got beat 3-1 by Brentford, so a lot of pressure, as usual. Money was spent at Manchester United, but they're in the same situation as what they were last season, so the pressure is only going to get worse for Manchester United. But we look at the top of the league, as I've just said, we have a challenge on. Arsenal look for the fight. I thought they made a huge statement, and I think it's going to be interesting to see those two battling it away from here to the end of the season. I know it's only early, but I just thought that was a statement. Arsenal needed to win, and they got the job done.
So across Europe, Harry Kane has made history. Can you tell us more about that achievement?
I mean, I talk about him every week. It's about Harry Kane scoring goals, and it's phenomenal, his rate of goals. But what he's done, he's beaten Haaland, he's beaten Ronaldo, he's beaten everyone. He's the quickest to get to 100 goals for Bayern Munich, and he deserves it. You know, to have that drive, that determination, that willingness to score goals, he just does it. He loves it. That's what he's all about. And it's great that he's right up there, and he deserves to be right up there with the best of all time for scoring goals. So scored again at the weekend. They won again by Munich, and it was a huge result for them. That was against Werder Bremen, and who's going to stop them? It's about what they're going to do in the Champions League. But going back to Harry Kane, congratulations, fully deserve it.
So Wayne Rooney has also been making headlines recently. What's the story there?
I just wanted to. I mean, we look at. I mean, he's retired now, but we look at stars, and we look at. Yameen Lamal is the latest one now, and the life what they must live when you know, it's not just about the money. Wayne Rooney has done an interview with Rio Ferdinand on his podcast, and it's just saying about how he dealt with the pressure, how he had people around him that couldn't really understand him. He used to go out for 2 days drinking and then play. You know, and I feel for it. We've just lost Ricky Hatton, who was a world-famous boxer, to depression. And I'm not just saying about depression, but it must be difficult when you are a superstar and you're in the limelight and you want people trying to take money off you, and who do you trust? And I just thought it was a really honest interview, saying about what life is like. When you go home, when you close the door, you know, what is it like from being a superstar when you go out to just going home and you're on your own? And if you get the opportunity, you watch the interview, you know, and understand people. I looked at Boris Becker, who was a famous tennis player as well. He's just come out of doing 2 years in prison because he got messed up with money situations, and he talks about his life that he didn't know who to trust, and the people he was with, looking back now, were wrong. So I just think there has to be help out for these stars. As wonderful as what they are, as much money as what they get, you know, they just need that little bit of help, and I think it's difficult. But I thought I'd mention it because it gives you an idea about their lives. You know, it's not rosy. Sometimes it's difficult for these people who are really stars. So I think it's something what we should really look out for.
And finally, a major award in world football. Ousmane Dembele has claimed the Ballon d'Or. What can you tell us about this win?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at maybe is it going to be Mo Salah at a certain point it's going to get it. He didn't. You got to say Dembele with the season what he had last season, winning 5 major trophies, obviously included the Champions League, the league. He went right across the board. And what they did, Paris Saint-Germain got Club of the Year, and rightly so as well. Without all the big stars, we've seen the Messi, we've seen the Mbappe, we've seen the Neymar. All of a sudden, this team just came from pretty much nowhere, beating the likes of Arsenal, beating the likes of Liverpool, who went on to win the league last year, and going on and having the success what they did. And Dembele leading the line. I think he fully deserves it. I mean, also as well, if you're going to be talking about the present day, this week is a huge game as well. We've got Barcelona against Paris Saint-Germain, where we'll see Dembele. But congratulations to him. Congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain. And as it really moves on, he fully deserves it. I thought what they did was fantastic. Also as well, just going back over what happened over the weekend, I rushed ahead, I just went there. Napoli got beat last night. AC Milan are now top of the league. Paris Saint-Germain won. They bounced back from beating Marseille. So you fully expect a bit of quality from there. And the big talking point was obviously Real Madrid losing to Atletico Madrid in the Madrid derby. Barcelona won, Barcelona are top, so there's your roundup. We're going to Champions League this week, and then we build up to the Premier League next weekend, and then after that there's a break when we go into the international duty, because let's not forget they're all looking to try and get into the World Cup, which is at the end of next season.
Nick, thank you very much for bringing us the latest updates. Thanks a lot. That's the news update from us in Baku this morning. Stay tuned to A News for more.